uh, order. Fire Adaptive Community Committee meeting on June 3rd, 2025, 4 to 5 p.m. So could you all stand and let's do our Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, Madam Secretary, roll call.
Sure, Mike Overby,
Here.
Martha Ashley, here. Dave Hartson. I see you,
Dave?
Dave.
You're on mute. You're on mute, Dave.
Don Clark,
Here.
Scott Schaefer. Vicki Lannon, Mark Manley.
Yeah.
And Ray Honey.
Here.
Okay. Today's agenda, I assume everybody has that, and I spotted a typo. Doesn't change the context, but on item number 3, it says the May 21st Village Day. That should be June 21st. So that would be a change to the agenda. Do I have any motions to approve that agenda as written?
Dave made an motion. Who will second that?
I'll second
All in favor?
it. Aye.
Aye. Opposed? It's
Okay.
accepted.
We are making an opportunity available for any audience members, which means non-committee members, to make a statement or ask a question to us as a committee. Does anybody have a request to do so?
Anybody in the audience will have a comment that you would like to make? Anyone want to speak? Santos?
Yeah, just really quick. I know it's on your agenda item number 3. We had a meeting this morning with comprehensive plan, and I asked if you did your mission statement. You have.
Oh, yeah, I have it.
If there's a way I could get a copy of it, we're trying to prepare vision boards for each committee to share at the AFPO luncheon. There are going to be quite a few attendees trying to get information about what's going on in Angel Fire. So we're going to have a table for each committee, and we'd like to have this presented for yours. And so we could put your mission statement, goals, objectives up there. So if you wouldn't mind just sending it to me so we can get it printed and mounted and work that through, that'd be fantastic.
I'll do it.
Thank you.
Yeah, that is an agenda item, item number 3, that we were going to, get in more detail in and make sure we all are on the same page
Yeah.
of what needs to be done and who's going to do it. Okay, so.
All I got. Thank you.
Okay, anybody else?
Okay, the next item, approval of the minutes of the May 6, 25 meeting. Do I have a motion that we accept those minutes or change?
I move that we accept those minutes. Who will second?
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Okay, so all of the agenda items are old business. I don't know if someone, if Captain Romo's not there, but anyone, including Captain, would have a report on the slash process this last month. Bernie?
Captain Romo is not here, but I do know, I don't know about the intake, but I do know that they did a burn on May 21st and 22nd, and they're also doing one tomorrow and the next day. And that's all I've got for that.
So burns continue, I mean, all's well.
Yeah.
Okay. Moving on to item 2, and I did speak with Lindsay before, but going forward, especially this meeting and future meetings, since we do have a defensible space ordinance in place and there's an inspection process that she is coordinating. And so we'd like to have her give us, on a monthly basis. So for last month, information such as how many requests for an inspection, how many were conducted, and so forth, how many is the backlog. So do you have that kind of a report that you could provide us?
Yeah, since I wasn't at the last meeting, I'm gonna do the past 2 months. We've kind of had it up and going. For the past 2 months, I completed a few more before that, but they were kind of test runs with Romo just to kind of get my feet under myself there. But currently, we have 33 assessments completed for the last 2 months. 24 have had fully delivered post-assessment materials, so that's the wildfire risk assessment, the certificate, and a letter to insurance. And then I have 18 more scheduled for this month and a couple in July as well. And I think they're honestly doing pretty good. I've gotten some good feedback from pretty much everybody that has gotten their materials delivered, as well as just people who have gone out and done the assessment.
Very good. This is a comment. I know that I think Manager Weir mentioned the one home initially that had the approval, had the inspection and approval, and that helped them get insurance. Have you had any feedback, one way or the other?
Yeah, we had one home that was like specifically having some trouble, so I collaborated with Captain Romo on that one. So we're kind of just for some of those insurance letters, we're gauging whether or not, if it's just somebody who's looking to get certified through the village and just wants to have it on hand, versus somebody where it's kind of an emergent process, which was them. So he wrote a letter alongside myself after, we went out and did that assessment. So, and we heard back, I think that they received insurance after being dropped. So I think it's doing great.
Good success story there. Thank you.
Mhm.
Any other comments about inspections? Comments, questions? Okay,
Yes.
moving.
I'm just curious, it used to be you could go down and get chips if you wanted for garden use and things like that. Do we still have chips down there? Or we burned everything?
Josh told me that there's none left.
None left. Okay. Are we still chipping on site if people wanna
Yes.
create their own chips?
Yeah, that is still a
So
service.
just go in and put your name on a list and they'll come
You
out.
have to fill out the form.
Yeah, you have to
Yeah,
get
yeah.
a slash
Yeah.
permit for it.
No, I know. But that is one option instead of picking up.
Yeah.
They'll bring the chipper
Mhm.
and they would basically leave a pile where the slash was, and then you could spread that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or they'll spread it around as they shoot it out.
Yeah, they can point it, but if it's down lower on the lot. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, of course.
Okay. Moving on to item number 3, again, the June 21st Village Day, and we had that presented to us by Manager Weir last month, and it's in the minutes. We just talked about it. Who was the person that made the comment or the question? Was that Greg Ralph? That's the name I see in the minutes that's coordinating that.
You talking about? Wait, oh. Yeah, I think Greg is part of it. The big day, didn't
I think
Yes.
it's Greg and who,
So Greg Ralph and Santos, who was here
Santos, yeah.
earlier, and that whole committee, the comprehensive committee is asking for that information so they can get
Okay.
several.
And I just
post boards
sent that-
For
you
questions.
send that to Santos?
Okay, so I think what I understand, and let's just make sure we're all clear, is that before the AFPO meeting, we're to set up on a table and provide information. But the question is about our committee, and embellish this if you want, question it. But my thought was there needs to be a placard, I understand, something that stands up on the table. And we're providing the information for that, but who's going to actually physically do that?
I think that's Santos and Greg Ralph. I think they're in charge of doing that.
So we just need to
So-
send the information to Greg.
So if I can, just transfer what I heard this morning, they want a clear objective of what the committee wants. What is the objective of the committee?
Yeah.
And what are some of the objectives that are set, kind of line by line, what are steps to achieve that objective? So they're gonna take that information, and Caroline has an art background, she works at the visitor center, and she's gonna prepare some posters. And they wanna provide each member with stickers, and they can kind of add things, members can take the stickers and put them on items that we have listed out for the fire adaptive committee. What is more of a point of emphasis for them, and just kind of vote for things that they want to see more movement on or less movement on, et cetera.
Oh,
So for
awesome.
example, for us, we can list a good neighbor policy that we're already working on, that we're working on a brief description of what that good neighbor policy is. And people would be able to put stickers on because that's something that they would want. Or if there are other objectives that the committee has, that they would like to list towards our overall purpose as a committee, then those should be listed out so that, members can vote on it.
That's great. They can just walk around and make a vote on what they care about.
Is it an objective? I would have thought so, but maybe, I don't know, this is a question, that we provide on that table handouts such as the Defensible Space Ordinance, an application to get your home inspected, and so forth and so on. And I know we have a lot of literature from the Forest Service on, defensible space or keeping your home safe. Is that part of our materials? we need to provide?
Some things,
So it's my understanding that they want to, purpose and scope of the committee. First of
Yeah,
all.
that's-
What
we
is the
got
purpose
that.
and scope of the committee? Because they've asked for that several times and haven't gotten any feedback. And then from here forward, they're not asking for what we've done, they're asking for what is the committee working on in the future? Things that we can vote on, things that are important to the public.
so
So
we're
not
not,
things that we've done,
okay,
those things, they've asked for in a separate part of the conversation. They've asked for QR codes and where to find information that we currently have. Lindsay has a little bit more to present on that later. But not things that we already done, that are already in place, but what is this committee working towards that purpose and scope, and what are those objectives?
so we don't need
No,
to
it's-
provide copies of the DSO or this or that, because that's just a pile of paper.
Correct.
But there will be information there that shows where they can find it.
Where is this committee going? What are our achievements that we're hoping to, work towards in the next months or years?
But I just don't want us to not have something up there, because people are curious, what is the DSO that we've already done? I don't think I know they need to vote on the future, but we also would have information there for now, right?
Yeah, so,
Yeah, I was trying to address his question specifically and what he asked for, but Lindsay does plan on being there and providing that information.
yeah, so, and we also, if we don't wanna do like if you guys don't wanna do like big stacks of paper, I'll still provide you with the Living with Fire and the Ready, Set, Go
Good.
pamphlets. But you can also, I have, some stuff that I put together here, so like I have a defensible space application, where you could
Nice.
just even have this, wouldn't even have to have the paper per se, a bunch of them, you could just have that out on the table and they could scan it. And then I have also like the slash program rules, and I just put together like something today about like frequently asked questions about the defensible space
Awesome.
ordinance. Yeah, and all of these have, the QR codes to where you can find the ordinance, how do you request an assessment, even though I already have this. How do you utilize the slash program, as well as what the defensible space ordinance is, and like my contact information, all of that kind of stuff.
Thank you for taking us into the next century.
Yeah, I got
We
you.
don't need stacks of paper, we need
Are those,
QR codes.
are those online now?
Everything is online on the website. We're still working on, updating a couple of different things. I know there's some outdated things on, especially our front page and a couple of other things, but everything defensible space ordinance wise is on our website. Everything slash program wise is updated on the website. And we're working on getting information on like burn bans, things like that up as well. Cause I know we have a page for that. We just haven't utilized it as much in the past, so we're gonna try to do that as well.
And I just wanna add that
Yeah.
if anybody needs paper copies or isn't comfortable online or whatever, they can always reach out to Lindsay, call, or anybody in the fire department, and we can help them print those things out or whatever.
So that's on the fire department's website.
Yes.
Yeah,
That's
It's-
awesome.
it's also up on the Facebook too. I know a lot of people in Angel Fire use Facebook as well, so.
Are you gonna be sitting at the table at the day of the?
I'm not sure if I'll be at your guys' tables. I might be jumping between like fire department and you guys, but yeah, if anybody, I'll be available
We
to.
also have an airport event happening the same day on the 21st.
Yeah, so I should be available to, I think I just need to figure that out, because I just found out about the 21st meeting yesterday, so I need to figure out which one I'm
Where are you
going
gonna
to, and,
be?
yeah, and everything like that, but if not, I'll also give you some of my cards and things like that, so people can contact me if they
Yeah.
have further questions.
That's a good point, because some people do need those hard copies.
Yeah, understood.
So who from our committee can be at that table?
I'll be there. Who else? Who else will be there? Oh, I don't wanna be by myself. Come on.
I can be there.
Okay, yay, Ray, thank you.
Yeah, somebody picked that weekend for a reunion that I gotta go to, so unfortunately, it's kind of like
It's up to you, Greg.
I'll be there.
my 20th high school reunion.
I think it's 11 to 2 from what I saw, but I think the AFPO meeting is starting at 11, so I'm assuming you're probably gonna wanna get up early or get there earlier to kind of set up and make sure everything's good.
Okay.
So, I have, information on the charter and the objectives and all that. So I need to send that to you, Lindsay.
Mike, I just sent that. I sent
Oh,
it.
you already have done that?
I just did it. I'm so efficient.
Okay. Good. I'll just make a comment about what Chief Vance said, and I don't know if this is my thought. You said, what are we going to be working on in the future? And, it hasn't been on the agenda for a couple of weeks because we had more urgent items, but it was the phase 2 to the defensible space. My thought is, I don't know that we want to bring that up yet, but that's just me.
Chief, do you think we want to put that up there as something that we're working on? I mean, I would think our community wants to know that we are working on
Well,
those
that's fine.
properties that have not, no, that do not have structures. I would think that would be important to a lot of people.
It's hard to explain unless you explain phase 1,
They haven't really had an opportunity to even digest phase 1. I suggest that we let them do that before we start to get on to phase 2. I don't think this committee has a clear direction for phase 2 currently, so we're just wading into an area where there's not even a consensus yet. I think we ought to let the community just digest phase 1, ask questions related to the defensible space ordinance, how they can file their applications, very simple things. Again, going back to the things I've stated at this committee many, many times, that we need to slow walk this so that the community comes along willingly, asking for information as opposed to it being kind of shoved in their face.
I think it's too confusing.
Point, but I think also we have a lot of people in the community that are asking about their neighbor's property. And it is something we're doing in the future. Why wouldn't we give our members a chance to vote on whether that's important to them? It's not like we would be explaining what we're doing.
Yeah, kind of two different things in my book.
Okay.
Phase 2 is kind of a larger, more encompassing topic for discussion for us to decide as a committee, or you guys to decide as a committee what we want to work on. The other thing is the good neighbor policy, which is
Yeah.
kind of phase 1.2, or however you want to call that, something we're actively working on. We have language. We probably need to send that to legal. We probably need to present that to you all to make sure that you approve of that. But that, I don't see that as being phase 2. So maybe just letting everybody know that we do have phase 2 for future states. But we also are working on good neighbor policy. And what we are also doing is we implemented a electronic form. So we no longer have paper forms only at the Slash program. We now have an electronic database that when they fill it out and somebody drops off Slash, it goes into a database and we're able to collect what times of day people are dropping off, what days of the week people are dropping off so that we can adjust staffing accordingly and just trying to get a more comprehensive view of actually how much Slash we're bringing in rather than just wagging it and just spitballing how much we get. So we'd like to get 1 year's of data collection so that we can
Good.
analyze, do we need more people? Are we able to process that much Slash? Do we need more equipment, that sort of thing? So we'd like a little time to
I see.
recoup that and to kind of piggyback off what Mark said. We need time to do that before we start moving into phase.
We don't
two.
even want to talk about
Understanding.
that.
Because
But
because
good
like you
neighbor,
all-
good
Yeah.
neighbor will help people, move in that direction without
100%.
completely.
But like you all stated, we didn't know if we were gonna get 10 times the amount of Slash or 100 times the amount of Slash initially, and it sounds like we're in pretty good shape right now. But who knows what's gonna happen as people start to adopt the defensible space ordinance and it become more popular.
How do you feel about the volume that you're getting? Is it,
Yeah, so far we're okay. So far, we're about on par with what we've had in previous years, as I understand it. But if we do another section of this, if we do end up adopting Firewise and you guys support that in the committee and we vote that and get that passed in council, it might really take off, pardon my pun, but it may take off like wildfire. And we may end up with a lot more Slash than we anticipate. So we really need to play that slow and judge how much Slash we're gonna intake over 1 or 2 years before we start adopting a phase 2. So we have time to consider what is gonna be on
That's
phase.
way off. I mean,
So if we get questions the day we're at the meeting, we can, and beyond the DSO, we can say we're working on a good neighbor policy.
Yes,
That's fair to say,
100%.
that
we're in the process.
Yeah.
the
we
committee
have a
and
document.
the village is working on a program where you can help your and thin next door.
Yeah, and I really think we should take this opportunity. This is gonna be the first time that people who live outside of Angel Fire will actually be in town. Maybe the only one day of the year that they're gonna be in town to ask questions. And we really should take that opportunity to sell the DSO and all the good parts about it, what its intent is, and to show that we're ready to take on Slash. We're making adjustments to the Slash intake as well. We're gonna start taking pine needles and we're gonna start taking stumps as long as we can figure out a point of sale mechanism of how to charge for those. And we're working on that in the background. So those are 2 things that we're actively working on that are future states. So we can focus on those 2 things, taking in Slash or the pine needles and stumps, and then the good neighbor policy. Those are 2 active things we're working on for the future. But we are also really start hammering out the defensible space and what the nuances of it are, and it's not that scary. And we really should start.
where are you with pine needles at this point? What's,
Right now, we have not changed anything. We don't have a mechanism to charge for them. Right now, Ben Gully at Solid Waste has a way to charge for pine needles. And we're gonna leave that in place until we can figure out the point of sale. That has to go through the finance committee. We put in a request for them to figure out the point of sale. We need the piece of equipment, make sure it's compatible with all of our systems and all that kind of IT stuff that I don't know about. But once we get that point of sale figured out, so I don't know if that's gonna be sooner or later, then we can start charging for pine needles and stumps.
Well, I do know last year Dave and I were at the APCO meeting with a table for the Fire Adaptive Committee, we were the only committee there. I do remember people coming by saying, my property's great, but my neighbor's is not. So I think instead of going on to phase 2, as Mark Manley has said we shouldn't, and maybe, we shouldn't because it's way out there. The good neighbor policy will help us at least provide something because people were very concerned about that.
That's a great point, and I think it's important for it to be coming from you, coming from committee members, rather than coming from the fire department, that you guys are working hand in hand, we're all doing this together. And that it's not a scary thing and it's not a big enforcement thing, and, we're just really just trying to do something that's sensible. But I
Yeah,
need to make sure that we're on the same page as far as what that good neighbor policy looks like, and that pertains to defensible space ordinance to a structure that's next to a lot.
Yes,
I don't want that
yes,
to turn into any other conversation, because if I have a home that's close to your property line, may I go onto your lot? And then as it pertains to my defensible space ordinance around my structure, but we're not talking about any other lot thinning or anything else, because we're gonna have to work those details out, and that's a much bigger conversation and a big sticking point for this community, or for this committee in the past.
yes,
So I think that's probably gonna be pretty contentious, and we'll have to work that out, but we have time to do that.
good, good. Thank you.
Okay, directly related to that discussion is item number 4, communication plans for the defensible space ordinance outreach in the rest of this year. Certainly, we will touch on it, in the May and the June 21st. But Lindsay, part of what this is going to address is potentially another village town hall just focused on this topic to provide more in-depth information. And how do we do an outreach effort and so forth and so on. So Lindsay, can you give us your proposal on that?
Yeah, so I did watch the last committee meeting, even though I was not present. And I did see, things that we've kind of been planning already is obviously I'm gonna be going to the majority of the events in town this summer. So the Cool Summer Nights on Fridays, farmers markets on Sundays, and all the events in between then. Yeah, Balloons Over Angel Fire, I'll be at pretty much everything, Mimosas on Main. So that's one thing. And then we're also really active on the Facebook now. So we've been posting a lot. I've been sharing a good amount of those posts on Angel Fire Information Highway, things like that, to get it out to more people. I know that one of my last posts, I think, had over like 800 views or something like that I saw. So there's a lot of people who are looking on that Facebook page, and you just got to look to find people, right? And I think that's one of the reasons why I've gotten so many applications for assessments this next month because of that post, and I will continue to post there. And then I also saw that there's a possibility of maybe using the resorts communication, if Mark said that. And I've kind of put together, I was showing earlier, I've kind of put together a couple of like a page or something that you could send. If not, we could literally just Ileana's gonna pull it up now and share it to you guys. And it is kind of rough draft, right? I can change whatever we need to change on that. But so maybe sending something like that out, something like the posts that we're making on Facebook. If not, maybe just having some clickable links in an email or something, if that's possible, if I could get with you, Mark, about that. But yeah.
That's all great, man. You're making great progress. I guess a decision I think we need to either make or not for the rest of the season is, should we, could we have a separate, large invite for people to come to, something that we drill down a little more.
Yeah,
on all
I
this.
had a Wildfire Wednesday event earlier a couple months ago, and we got a small turnout there. I do not mind doing one of those once a month, or trying to kind of do what we did with the event with Firewise. If we want to try to put something on like that, I could try to talk to maybe some of the people around here and try to either throw it at the community center or something like that. That would be a conversation that involves more people. But if that's something that we want to do, that would need more planning and some collaboration from you guys for sure.
Yeah. No, again, this was on the agenda last year, but we had too short of a fuse to even think about it. And, we're still up in the air on a lot of issues. We now at least have some concrete things to present, which recognizing if we did something like that, that would increase, the amount of requests for slash and all the other and your inspections. I mean, timing of that and location of that are both variables.
Mhm.
Any discussion on this topic from the rest of the committee members?
Well, Mike, I think the largest number of people we'll see will be at the AFPO meetings. I think that's the most contact, because if you have a town hall meeting, if you're not in town, you're not gonna make a special trip to Angel Fire to come to a town hall meeting, and the only people, the property owners that are here now are concerned, and any new homeowners getting ready to build are curious about the DSO and everything. But they're gonna go down to the fire station and get all the information they need and all the, all the different, access to all the, different areas. I don't know.
I don't see that we need our own special town hall.
I guess we ought to, we could maybe keep track of the people that come by and scan the QR codes or ask us about is that the village Facebook page, or is there a separate one?
Ours, Angel Fire Department.
Our Angel Fire.
Yeah.
And we'll have that on the poster then,
Okay.
for people to check that out. But it'd be curious to see how many people, correct me if I'm wrong, Mark, except for July 4th, the annual meeting, that's when they roll in.
Yeah.
I mean, you get a free lunch if you show up, and that's,
And it'd be nice, we do have the pancake breakfast on the 5th. The Rotary has, that'd be a great, I mean, we get, 200, we get quite
The
a few
5th of
people.
July.
Yeah, the 5th of July in the morning, 8 to 10:30. That'd be a
Yeah.
great place for the fire department to be present.
tennis-
Lindsay,
tennis
you in
court.
particular,
Okay.
with a poster
Yeah, if you want to send me more information about that, I can definitely, I know there's a bunch of events. So it's the same thing, it's the picking and choosing, right? And if that seems to be like something that's very important, that'll definitely go up on my list for sure.
and.
Well, I think that, I mean, this is something that we have on the agenda here for Mark and it was alluded to. And it could be that if, the right material is provided via an email, that was protected and, doesn't require a response, such as just QR codes where they could go directly to a site in the village to get that information. That probably, I mean, that's just my guess, would provide more information than we could just having a meeting. But that's my thought. Mark, you were going to find out if you can use your email system to send out such an email.
Yeah, I mean, we can discuss that. I think what I mentioned is that if you guys send me content, I'll get it before the resort's CEO, and we can, he may have some revisions, but we can segment it and send it. But again, I mean, I need to know exactly what we're talking about before I can approach him.
No,
with
I
that.
understand. I mean, it would be informational, I think, and refer to the fact that the village now has this committee that is, and the village council has approved an ordinance related to.
Yeah, and the village has its own, extensive email list, that is based off of all of the utility billing. So honestly, the resort's going to be a willing partner here, but I mean, I do think the village has probably a better.
We looked at that list.
position for this.
There was a download on an Excel spreadsheet. Certainly they have name and address, but very few emails is what I saw.
No, I don't think that's
Maybe?
correct.
Okay.
There's a lot. I remember this because that particular email list made its way into the hands of the AFPO board at the time in 2020, 2021 that wound up suing the resort. So I know that's out there, and that list is fairly extensive. I believe they cobbled it together through FOIA requests and whatnot. So there's
Okay.
hundreds and hundreds of email addresses that are available through that route.
Okay, well, there was a list, such an Excel list from the utility that was downloaded, and I think Rocky is the one that got it done. I think if you just updated it, because it's probably changed, and we could easily sort it to see how many are on there, and if you're right, that's all we need. You're right.
There are a lot of functions, membership functions, the golf tournaments, tennis, those type things. Would you want to contact those people and see if they would allow some literature to be presented at their get-togethers?
I don't think the average golfer and tennis player cares that much about the DSO.
They're homeowners.
I know they're homeowners. And they only care when the insurance company comes along and raises their rates. I'm just speaking as a golfer. But I think that's just too much, because
Yeah,
if they roll in to play in a tournament, I think the meeting, to be at the AFL meeting and have information makes sense. Even the balloon, I mean, for Lindsay to be down there, it's fine. But a lot of people rolling in for the balloon aren't even home.
Yeah,
They're renting homes here and they're coming up to watch the balloons over Angel Park.
yeah, that's true.
And so, I mean, I don't know how it went, last month down at Valley Market, the big, but it
Was
sounded
that a
like,
good turnout?
you had a pretty good turnout.
Yeah, it was pretty decent. We had quite a few people come through. It was a day-long event, so they were trickling in and got.
Yeah.
We had a pretty big raffle there too, so I think people were there for the raffle.
Well, and if you have that July 1st and you were but there's so much going on then.
yeah.
I mean, you're busy working.
Yeah.
That's when,
I'm glad you brought that up. I just wanted to mention, as to tag on this conversation, that Lindsay is pretty task saturated. So it's our perspective that we'll provide the material. I think she presented this document with QR codes as an example to what to provide to Mark Manley, to pass that on to him. They can run it up their chain and see if they're willing to pass that on. But as far as her going out and doglegging email addresses and things like that, she doesn't have the bandwidth to do that type of thing. So
Right.
It's our perspective that we'll provide the material, what we recommend to what to disseminate to the public. And we need help if you guys want to do something else with it. We've been talking about an email list for as long as I've been here. Is my 11th month here now. We're still talking about the same email list and popping back and forth. We just don't have the bandwidth to chase that down.
Yeah.
So if you all wanna present that to somebody within the village, a village manager, and ask them for a specific email list or something, please do that for us, but we can't do that. But we will provide the information to pass along.
Okay, so
The
I guess the content of that that Lindsay has, can she send it out to all of our committee members and
Yeah,
for us to
absolutely.
review?
Sorry, I did not do that earlier. I kind of put the FAQ one together today, and I have the other ones that I've kind of had in my back pocket, and they're up kind of around town. But yeah, I can send all of that to all of
Yeah,
y'all.
and I think, and the question is, should we could have another meeting to discuss that. I know it's very important. But if everybody looks at it and says, it looks good to me, then sending it to Mark, I guess.
And also, the rest of the information is on the website.
Yeah.
Besides this document.
No,
if
I
you wanna
understand.
see-
It's just what words are we gonna put in the email, and what QR codes, or how are you gonna
Yeah,
present that?
I can send over what the like page that I have here. I can send over kind of a mock email as well. I have no problem doing that.
Okay, and then I will make sure that we send out a notice to all the members that aren't here that please be on the outlook for that information and respond as soon as possible. Okay. The only other item, and I know that Captain Romo was the instigator of this steps to implement the Firewise USA program. Have you had any discussions, Lindsay, with him on what should be steps, if you want to call it that?
Well, I actually want to just make a comment to the instigator. I think that has a negative connotation, and it's actually quite the opposite. It is my request for Captain Romo to pursue the Firewise certification. He wasn't instigating and wasn't asking for that. In fact, I think it's a pretty heavy lift on his behalf to ask for that. It's just he has experience with the Idlewild projects and other projects around the area to go Firewise. So I felt it'd be a great benefit to the village to have something with national clout and has some teeth. So he did that at my request. So if you have any questions to the motivations for Firewise, please direct those to me. He was only helping us out because it's
we had a good presentation last time, and good presentation. We all voted that that's what we need to do. I guess, you know, an outline of step 1, 2, 3 is kind of what we're looking for. Who's
Yeah,
going to
I think that can be provided. So I think our next step is to go before council and kind of bring this to council with in conjunction with y'all. And if we're looking at different steps to go Firewise, this is all public information as well. It is on their website. We're kind of working through Captain Romo, and I think he's working with Mary Stuber to kind of do, I think they have to do a town-wide kind of inspection thing where they come out and look at things. But I think our first step, you know, is to bring it to council and ask, you know, is this something that the village wants to do?
And it's so well established that we don't need to come up with steps. The
Yeah.
steps are there.
No, that's what the experts need to tell us what the steps should be. Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess it'd be on another one.
Yeah,
Yeah,
scheduled for
I wanted to
Tuesday.
bring that forward today to the committee. It was on the last council agenda. I had to cancel it because I was out of town. My kids did an early Father's Day thing for me, so I went and did that. So we plan on presenting it before council at this next council meeting. If it is passed, then we would proceed with the application process. After the application process would be that visit from Mary Stuber to get that process rolling. Everything
Okay,
else, information.
that's good for the minutes. Thank you. Okay, well, we're early. Any other comments or input on today's meeting before we adjourn? Okay, well, officially at 5:43 p.m., this meeting is officially over. Thank you, guys.